Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a stack of sources that are really rooted in the Gilded Age giants, people like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford.
Right.
And we're trying to extract what's promised to be the shortest, most dependable philosophy of individual achievement ever really codified.
And our mission today for you is to be really precise about this. We want to distill the exact steps, the mental disciplines you need to translate an abstract desire, just a hope, into actual tangible wealth.
And it's all built on 13 key principles.
It is. And the most interesting part, the core concept, this so-called secret formula, is never actually named. You have to uncover it yourself by applying the principles.
And the sources just immediately prove this formula works. I mean, let's start with Charles M. Schwab.
Sure, bye.
He applies this one principle, and from that, he conceives and executes the Organization of United States Steel Corporation.
Yeah.
That one single action. It was estimated to be worth $600 million.
In its time, which is staggering. And what's fascinating is that the philosophy seems to reward sheer definiteness over, resources.
What do you mean?
Well, think about Edwin C. Barnes. He shows up at Edison's lab, and he looks, Edison himself said he looked like an ordinary tramp.
Right. He had nothing.
Exactly. But he didn't want a job. He had this deep, burning desire to be Edison's business associate. And he just stayed. He worked low-level jobs, but he kept that purpose locked in his mind. And years later, he got what he came for.
He became an essential partner.
He did. Yeah. And it just illustrates that this whole thing starts with your mental state, not your bank account.
Okay, let's unpack that internal engine. The starting point isn't capital, it's desire. And there's a huge distinction made here.
That's the critical one.
Wishing for riches is useless. You have to transform that wish into a defined, persistent, a burning desire.
Absolutely. The source hammers this home again and again. It says thoughts are things, but they're only powerful things when you mix them with a definite purpose, with persistence, and with that burning desire.
Which brings us right into the subconscious mind.
And the key mechanism here is autosuggestion. The idea is basically, you will come to believe whatever you repeat to yourself. Whether it's true or false, eventually you'll believe it.
Because your subconscious just acts on these thought impulses.
It acts on them, but, and this is the critical juncture, those impulses have to be emotionalized.
So just repeating words isn't enough.
Not at all. Plain, unemotional words just don't penetrate the subconscious. You can say an affirmation 1,000,000 times, but if you don't inject genuine deep emotion and belief into those words, you get nothing.
The thought has to be emotionalized with belief.
Yes, that's the quote.
But how do you actually do that? How do you generate that deep belief? Isn't that the hardest part?
It is the challenge. And the philosophy says that faith is developed. It's developed through this process of autosuggestion and persistence. You cultivate belief by acting as if the thing you want is already real.
You're deliberately creating a mental habit.
You're forcing your mind to accept this new reality until it becomes the dominant thought. This goes way beyond just surface-level affirmations.
Okay, so this leads directly to the core application, the 6 steps to riches. It's a whole process.
It is. So step 1, as you said, is fixing the exact amount of money you desire. Not a lot of money, an exact figure.
And step 2 is crucial. You have to determine exactly what you intend to give in return for that money.
Yes, there's no such thing as something for nothing. It's a transaction.
Instantly transactional. You're not just visualizing a number, you're quantifying the value you have to produce to get it.
Precisely. Step 3, establish a definite date. When will you have this money? Step 4, create a definite plan. And this is key. Begin at once, whether you feel ready or not.
You just have to start.
You have to start. Then step 5, write all of this down in a clear, concise statement.
And step 6 brings us right back to that subconscious control. You read the statement aloud twice a day, morning and night.
And as you read, you must see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. It's that full sensory experience.
Visualization plus belief done persistently.
Correct. The ultimate takeaway from this whole section is, it's pretty profound. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you have the power to control your own thoughts.
And if you can't see the riches in your imagination first, you are never going to see them in your bank balance.
Exactly.
Okay, so once that internal engine is running, you need the fuel for execution, which brings us to knowledge.
Right. And the philosophy is very clear here. Knowledge is only potential power.
It only becomes actual power when it's organized into a definite plan and directed toward a definite end.
This is a huge distinction, especially for us today, where everyone is collecting degrees. The source material basically argues that limited schooling is no barrier at all.
Look at Edison, right? 3 months of formal schooling. Or Ford, with minimal education.
Exactly. And that brings us to that famous Henry Ford libel suit story.
I love this one. The lawyers are trying to prove he's ignorant.
And he basically argues that an educated man isn't someone who knows everything. He's someone who knows where to get knowledge when he needs it.
And how to organize it into a definite plan.
It's a brilliant defense. He's reframing educated from memory recall to resource management. And his mastermind group supplied all the specialized knowledge he needed. It just proved that organizing knowledge is way more valuable than just having it.
So that's the perfect segue to the mastermind principle. How is that defined?
It's the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose.
2 aspects to it, right?
Right. The economic one is obvious. You get advice, counsel, expertise. But the psychic phase, that's where the real power is.
The book gets a bit vague here. It uses an analogy about electric batteries. We need to clarify that for the listener.
Yeah, let's try. It's not mystical. It's about concentrated synergy. When a group of minds focuses harmoniously on one single purpose, they create a kind of thought atmosphere that's more energetic than the sum of its parts.
It's like a shared high-voltage state.
That's a great way to put it. The combined focus makes every single member feel more confident, more creative, more powerful. It just maximizes everyone's output.
So you have the plan, you have the team. The next hurdle is persistence. The sources say temporary defeat is just a signal that your plan is unsound.
Not that your goal is unattainable, you just have to change the plan. Success is so often just one step beyond where you felt defeated.
The R.U. Darby story is unforgettable on this point.
Oh, 3 feet from gold. He stopped mining literally 3 feet from a massive gold vein.
He learned that lesson the hard way.
But he applied it. Years later, selling insurance, he vowed he would never again stop just because someone said no. And he became a multi-million-dollar producer because he consciously changed his habit from quitting to sticking with it.
And Ford again. His engineers told him a task was impossible.
And Ford just commanded them, I want it and I'll have it. His sheer, unyielding determination kept them going until they had a breakthrough.
Which requires what the book calls burning the ships.
Yes, like that ancient warrior who landed on enemy shores and then burned his own boats. There was no retreat. It was win or perish.
And the philosophy insists you have to adopt that same mental state. The desire has to be so total that retreat just isn't an option.
Right.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do you translate these internal principles into, say, career advancement, especially when you're just starting out selling your own services?
Intelligent planning is everything here. And this ties into something the source calls the QQS formula.
QQS, tell us about that.
It stands for quality, quantity, and spirit. Quality is just performing every detail of your job efficiently.
Makes sense.
Quantity means rendering all the service you're capable of, making it a habit to go the extra mile. And spirit, which is vital, is having an agreeable, harmonious conduct that leads to cooperation.
That spirit part sounds a lot like modern emotional intelligence. How important is that really?
It's paramount. You can have the highest quality and quantity, but if your spirit creates friction, you just erode all the goodwill you need to advance. The philosophy sees courtesy and optimism as mandatory parts of the service you're delivering.
This just completely challenges that old idea that you have to start at the bottom.
It does. The book calls the view from the bottom dreary and monotonous. It argues it kills ambition and you just get stuck in a rut.
So what's the alternative?
It's strategic. You prepare a detailed, written brief of your qualifications for a specific position you want. And crucially, it doesn't just list what you've done, it emphasizes what services, what ideas you can offer the employer. You're solving their problems before you even get hired.
And there's that amazing example of the woman who prepared a 50-page brief for her son.
A 50-page brief. It included a complete plan he would implement in the role. And the result?
He bypassed, 10 years of slow advancement and started right away as a junior executive with an executive salary.
Because that brief didn't just sell his resume, it sold his vision. It demonstrated his ability to organize specialized knowledge.
Which points to this bigger shift from leadership by force to leadership by consent.
Right. New leadership requires self-control, definite plans, and the habit of doing more than you're paid for. The text calls that the necessary penalty of leadership. You have to prove your value first.
It's about building trust up front.
A very powerful psychological tool in any era.
So now we circle back inward. to the internal workshop, imagination. This is where all plans are made. The source argues our only real limitation is how we develop and use our imagination.
And we have to distinguish between the two forms. First, there's synthetic imagination. That's where you take existing concepts, old ideas, and you just rearrange them into new combinations.
Like an engineer designing a new bridge using known physics.
Exactly. They're synthesizing what's already there. But then there's the second type.
Creative imagination.
The sixth sense. This is the realm of true genius, where you receive ideas or hunches from unknown sources. This is where the totally new invention, the market-shattering idea comes from.
And speaking of internal energy, we have to talk about the emotion of sex desire. The source material treats this as the most powerful creative energy humans have.
That's right. The observation is that people of great achievement, leaders, artists, builders, are consistently found to be highly sexed. But there's a huge caveat here.
Which is?
It links back to willpower. Men seldom achieve outstanding success before the age of 40 or 50.
Why is that? Is it just about experience?
It's about energy management. Before that age, there's a tendency to dissipate that energy through physical expression. Transmutation is the key.
So redirecting that energy.
Consciously redirecting that powerful driving desire into creative effort, into art, into industry, into leadership. Once that happens, the source says, the jump to genius status becomes possible.
Okay, finally, let's face the enemies of all this, the 6 ghosts of fear.
Poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. And the source says the fear of poverty is the most destructive.
And if we trace all 6 of these back to their origin, what's the root cause?
Indecision is the seedling of fear. That's the core of it. Indecision crystallizes into doubty, and doubt and indecision blend together to create fear.
It seems like the fear of criticism is the one that stops most people from even starting.
Oh, absolutely. The sources describe the symptoms, like failing to create plans because of what your neighbors or your family might think. It robs you of initiative.
And the antidote.
For all 6 fears, it's the habit of prompt and firm decision, coupled with a determination not to worry. Once you set a definite course of action, a lot of that internal conflict just starts to dissolve.
So if we synthesize this entire philosophy, it's really a process of intense, deliberate mental control.
Exactly. Your mind is a creature of habit. The whole thing rests on persistently feeding your subconscious positive, emotionalized thoughts, faith, love, desire, and a definite purpose. You do that over and over, and you build what the text calls a money consciousness.
Or an achievement consciousness.
Right. You ensure your most powerful mental tools are only working on constructive thoughts.
And as we close, the source material ties all this internal work to the external world of opportunity.
Yeah.
It argues that America provides these boundless opportunities because of organized capital.
That context is so important. The example they use is a simple breakfast in New York City. The tea is from China, the eggs from Utah, bananas from South America, all delivered for pennies.
Because organized capital built the infrastructure.
Exactly. So the path to riches requires adapting to this law of economics by giving useful service. The opportunity is there, but you have to align your internal principles with an external strategy.
So if we are controlled by forces we can't see or measure, gravity, electricity, even thought, what are you doing today to consciously direct your own intangible thought energy towards your highest purpose?
That's the question.
We've laid out the mastermind formula, the Carnegie secret. The challenge now is to revisit those 6 steps, identify what you're giving in return, and put persistent action into play immediately.
And maybe challenge yourself to apply that transmutation principle. Identify the strongest driving energy in your own life and consciously redirect that intensity toward your definite purpose. That is the point of mastery.
That's powerful food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.